Welcome to Lone Star Warriors, a series dedicated to exploring the pivotal battles where Texans made a significant impact during the Civil War. Hi, I'm Johnny Anderson, and today we're at the Sabine Pass Battlefield State Park, a site of one of the most remarkable moments in Texas military history. Behind me flows the Sabine River, a natural boundary that played a crucial role in defending Texas from Union invasion. On September the 8th, 1863, a small but determined group of 47 Confederate soldiers, led by Lieutenant Dick Dowling, faced off against a massive Union fleet intent on seizing this very spot. What happened here is nothing short of extraordinary. Against overwhelming odds, these Texas soldiers repelled the Union assault, captured 2 gunboats and nearly 350 prisoners, all without losing a single man. Their victory at Sabine Pass not only safeguarded Texas, but also inspired a war-weary Confederacy. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the strategies, the bravery, and the legacy of the Battle of Sabine Pass. So join me as we explore the courage and resilience of these Texas heroes in face of impossible odds. This is Lone Star Warriors. Let's begin our journey.
As the Civil War raged on in 1863, the stakes were high, not just on the battlefield, but also on the international stage. President Abraham Lincoln had his eyes on Texas, a vital region for the Confederacy. Texas was the gateway to cotton, the lifeblood of Southern commerce, and a crucial resource for the war effort. But Lincoln's interest in Texas went beyond just cotton. He knew that by securing a supply route to the New England mills, the Union could cripple the Confederate economy. More importantly, Lincoln wanted to send a clear message to the French who were stationed in nearby Mexico. Emperor Napoleon III had shown interest in the Confederacy, and Lincoln was determined to discourage any potential alliance that could shift the balance of power. To achieve these goals, Major General Nathaniel Banks was ordered to lead a bold expedition deep into the heart of Texas. Banks assembled a formidable force, 4 gunboats, 22 transport vessels, and 5,000 soldiers. His plan was ambitious: sail up the Sabine River, seize Sabine Pass, and from there, march inland and capture Houston and cut off Galveston, the Confederacy's last significant port on the Gulf Coast. If successful, this operation would not only strangle Confederate supply lines, but also deliver a crushing blow to Southern morale. But before Banks could even begin his march inland, he and his forces would first have to overcome the seemingly insignificant yet strategically vital fort at Sabine Pass. Little did they know that this small fort, manned by just 47 Confederate soldiers, was about to become the site of one of the most improbable victories in the entire Civil War. Meanwhile, Confederate General John B. Magruder was not sitting idly by. In March 1863, he ordered the construction of Fort Griffin at Sabine Pass. Major Julius Kellersburg, using local materials and salvaged cannons, led the effort with 30 engineers and 500 slaves. Despite limited resources, they built a formidable fort with 6 gun emplacements and reinforced with logs, railroad iron, and earth. By August, the fort was armed with repaired cannons, ready to face an impending Union naval assault. Richard William Dick Dowling was an Irish saloon-keeper in Houston before the war. When the war broke out, he joined an artillery unit called the Jefferson Davis Guards as a first lieutenant, commanding what would become Company F. The company was made up of primarily Irish dock workers from Houston and Galveston. During the spring and summer of 1863, Dowling and the Guards manned the defenses at Sabine Pass. and practiced by firing their guns at stakes placed at strategic locations in the river until they were deadly accurate. On the evening of September the 7th, 1863, as the Union invasion force under the command of Lieutenant Frederick Crocker gathers at the mouth of the Sabine River, Dowling can see that he's up against a formidable force. His orders were to spike his guns and retire if he was up against overwhelming odds, which he certainly was. But instead of deciding by himself, he put the decision to a vote. Unanimously, the Guards voted to stay and fight. And from that time forward, they adopted the line from William Barrett Travis, the last letter from the Alamo, as their motto: victory or death. At 3:40 p.m. on the afternoon of September the 8th, the Union Armada entered the Sabine River with a well-coordinated plan. The gunboat Sachem advanced up the east or the Louisiana Channel, firing on the fort, followed by the Arizona. The Clifton would move up the west or Texas Channel, followed by the Granite City, and do the same. If the combined bombardment didn't subdue the fort, there was a landing party of 500 soldiers that could be put ashore and attack the fort. But just like boxer Mike Tyson's famous quote that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, the Union got punched squarely in the face. The Sachem began firing at the fort immediately, but the Guards didn't respond. They'd been told by the engineers not to waste their shells until the gunboats were within range, marked by the stakes in the river. But as the Sachem approached one of the stakes, the Confederate guns let loose. One of the fort's 6 guns was taken out of action almost immediately. The recoil from a shot knocked a howitzer off its mount and it fell into the fort, leaving only 5 guns against 4 Union gunboats. But the Confederates' practice paid off. Within a few shots, a shell hit the Sachem boiler, releasing superheated steam, forcing the crew to jump overboard, and the Sachem ran aground out of action. The Confederates now directed their guns on the approaching gunboat Clifton. Within a few shots, they'd severed the steering rope going to the rudder. The Clifton veered out of control and ran aground. It was their bad luck that it was close to another stake. Within minutes, a Confederate shot penetrated the armor and hit the Clifton's boiler, forcing its crew to jump overboard as well. General Godfrey Weitzel, who was in command of the Union land forces, witnessed the carnage and decided he wanted no part of a landing and attack on the fort. So the remaining ships turned around and struggled with a low tide to make their way back to the Gulf. The entire battle took only 45 minutes, with the Confederates firing 107 shots, capturing 2 Union gunboats and 350 prisoners without a single casualty. Jefferson Davis wrote in 1876 that he considered the Battle of Sabine Pass the most remarkable in military history. The Battle of Sabine Pass was the pinnacle of Dick Dowling's military career. Following his victory, Dowling served as a recruiting officer for the Confederacy, eventually earning the rank of major by the war's end in 1865. After his discharge, he returned to Houston, where he managed his pre-war businesses and expanded into new ventures, including real estate, oil and gas leases, and even a steamboat. Despite his financial success and a promising future, Dowling's life was tragically cut short by yellow fever on September the 23rd, 1867. Today, his legacy is honored with a monument at the Sabine Battlefield State Historic Site, a lasting tribute to his remarkable achievements.